Did you know that your 39th president, Jimmy Carter, shot my sister in the rear end with a BB gun when she threw a wrench at me? I was a great student as a child, was in the Navy after college, became the governor of Georgia, and was eventually our 39th president of the United States. I was definitely one of our most interesting presidents. I was born on October 1st, 1924 in Plains, Georgia. My family owned 350 acres of farmland, and our house had no running water or electricity until I was 14 years of age. My family lived on a farm between Plains and Archery, Georgia. My family was Baptist, so church was one of the biggest influences on my life. My family was also Democratic. My father's name was James Earl Carter Sr., and he was a farmer and a businessman. I really liked the approval of my father, and my dad nicknamed me Hotshot whenever he thought I had done well. My mother's name was Lillian Gordy Carter, and she was a nurse. I had 2 sisters, Gloria and Ruth, and one brother, William, or Billy, Carter. As a childhood job, I worked on the farm. African Americans also worked on the farm with me and my siblings. My father liked me to work hard on the farm where I did many chores. My great education helped me get into the Navy. I attended Plains High School from 1st to 11th grade. My school did not have a 12th grade. There was no electricity at my school, so there were windows so the classrooms could be bright. I thought that the school offered a great education. My favorite teacher was Julia Coleman, who was the language arts teacher and the principal. She brought new books for me to read all the time. Outside of class, I was not as confident as I was in class. I was short, but I liked to play sports where size wouldn't matter. The FFA, Future Farmers of America, was an organization at my school. I was good at things in the FFA, but I didn't want to be a farmer for the rest of my life. I attended Georgia Southwestern College from 1941 to 1943 so I could be in the Navy. I was accepted into the U.S. Naval Academy and graduated in 1946. I had a variety of different jobs before I was president. My first job was when I was in the Navy. I was the first assigned to USS Wyoming, and then I was assigned to the USS Mississippi. These were both battleships. Then I was assigned to 2 submarines. I left the Navy in 1953 when my father died. After that, I moved back to Plains and was a peanut farmer. I tended fields, helped out with my family's supply store, and got involved in civic activities. I also helped start a medical clinic in Plains. I was a state senator in Georgia from 1963 to 1967. There was some confusion about the 1962 nomination for the state senator because of a vote fraud. I was the governor of Georgia from 1971 to 1975. I had a wife and 4 children. My wife's name is Eleanor Rosalind Smith Carter. I was born on August 18, 1927 in Plains, Georgia. My parents were Wilbur and Edgar Smith and Frances Aletha Murray Smith. My father died of leukemia when I was 13 years old. I attended Georgia Southwestern College from 1942 to 1943. Jimmy's sister Ruth introduced Jimmy to me. After that, we started dating. Rosalind was 3 years younger than me, and my parents were unsure about her. However, we married on July 7, 1946 in Plains, Georgia. We had 4 children, John William, or Jack, who was born in Virginia in 1947. Then there was James Earl III, or Chip, who was born in Hawaii in 1950. Donald Jeffrey, or Jeff, was born in Connecticut in 1952. And Amy Lynn was born in Plains, Georgia in 1967. I ran against Gerald Ford to be president. My running mate was Walter Mondale, and we ran as Democrats. I debated with Gerald Ford 3 times before the election. I won the election to be the 39th president of the United States. I had 40.8 million popular votes, which was 50.1% of the total. In the Electoral College, I had 297 electoral votes to Ford's 240. I was the first president to walk from the Capitol to the White House after my inauguration instead of riding in a motorcade. My family's life in the White House was very active with the public. Amy Carter was the only one of my children to live in the White House during my presidency. She went to a public school in Washington, D.C. and brought friends over to play at the White House very often. I had a private meeting in the White House with Rosalind once a week to talk about political issues. While traveling, I like to stay in ordinary American homes rather than stay at fancy hotels. I had a few noteworthy accomplishments while I was president. I declared amnesty for Vietnam War draft evaders. Under the amnesty, they could return home without arrest. An amnesty is a pardon. I also established a new Department of Energy in 1977. I helped with the Camp David Accords between Israel and Egypt. I served as a mediator for the Camp David peace talks. These were between Anwar el-Sadat and Menachem Begin. It was said to be the greatest achievement of my presidency. One other accomplishment of my presidency was that 4 years after the U.S. boycotted the Olympics in Moscow, the Soviet Union didn't attend the Los Angeles Olympics. However, more nations still went to the Los Angeles Olympics than to the Moscow Olympics. I also had a lot of failures and scandals while I was president. One of these was the dam project. While Ford was president, he had authorized the construction of over 300 dams on U.S. rivers. I had cut the authorization for all but 19 of the dams, saving $5.1 billion. However, I forgot to consult with Congress before announcing the cuts. I didn't know that the dam project was designed to give people jobs. This was an example of my tendency to act on my own. In 1980, the U.S. boycotted the Olympics in Moscow. This was because the U.S. didn't approve of Soviet troops invading Afghanistan. One of the most unsuccessful things I did while I was president was the failure to release the hostages in Iran. In 1979, I permitted the Shah of Iran, who was overthrown as Iran's leader, to come to the U.S. for medical treatment. Iran violently protested against this, and 66 American hostages from the U.S. Embassy in Iran were held hostage for over a year. Only 14 were released early. I tirelessly worked to release the hostages, but they weren't released until a few hours after Ronald Reagan's inauguration. However, I still saved them. There are a lot of reasons why I was not reelected. This was because of the hostages in Iran and high gas prices while I was president. It was also because of poor economic conditions in the U.S. while I was president. I also had a very unsuccessful debate with Ronald Reagan on television before the election. I had the lowest approval rate ever at 21%. I went back to Plains after I was president. I made very few public appearances my first years back in Plains. I taught classes at Emory University in Atlanta. I found out I had a flair for writing, and I am now the author of 25 books. My first one was Keeping Faith, and my most recent one is White House Diary. The Carter Center began in 1984. In 1984, construction got underway on a complex of buildings in Atlanta. Part of the site is the Jimmy Carter Library and Museum, and the rest of the site is the Carter Center. The Jimmy Carter Library and Museum is administered by the National Archives and Records Administration and serves as a repository for my presidential papers. The Carter Center has 3 major aims: to wage peace, to fight disease, and to bring hope to the poor. It started in 1985 but was built in 1984. My status as a former president and record of working for peace put me in a unique position. One of my most successful negotiations was in Haiti. Bill Clinton threatened to use force against Ralph Cedras, who has ousted Haiti's elected president, Jean Bertrand Aristide, unless Cedras gave back power to Aristide. I visited Haiti and got Cedras to leave Haiti without a fight. I was especially interested in diseases in Africa. I helped to eliminate river blindness and guinea worm disease. I also work with Habitat for Humanity for 1 week every year. I am known as the finest former president and am sometimes remembered more for my accomplishments after my presidency rather than while I was president. I won the Presidential Medal of Freedom with Rosalind in 1998. I won the Nobel Peace Prize on December 10, 2002. There are many interesting facts about me. As a child, I stole a penny from the collection plate at church and shot my sister in the rear end with a BB gun when she threw a wrench at me. I was punished by my father both times. These were both crimes and punishment I had as a child. Some athletic things I like to do are dancing with Rosalind and playing and watching tennis. Some hobbies I have are collecting arrowheads and bottles, taking a speed reading course, and watching TV. I have also successfully panned for gold in Northern Georgia. I like to eat steak, fish, poultry, cornbread, veggies, salad, and frozen yogurt. However, I don't like beans. I am 5 feet, 9.5 inches tall, and my favorite president was Harry Truman. I like books, but my favorite color is blue. My hat size is 7, but I don't wear hats. One of our most interesting presidents was obviously me, Jimmy Carter. I was a great student as a child, was in the Navy after college, became the governor of Georgia, and was eventually our 39th president of the United States. I may not have been a very successful president, but I ended up being one of the best former presidents. Who would have believed that I, a peanut farmer from Georgia, would become our 39th president?